I'd like to pay tribute to the man who gave me this book. He gave the book to me a very long time ago, and the book is on your screen, isn't it? That's the book. His name is Carl Vandepuye. Carl Vandepuye, if you are watching, good evening. Thank you very much. Now, you may not know who he is, and many people don't know who he is, but he's a very effective guy, and Carl Vandepuye are the reason why we continue to do what we do. So he got in touch with me, and he said, I like your kind of journalism. Many, many years ago, I'm not talking recent, long before I went to study in England. And he said, I like your kind of journalism. So he became my friend. We talk. He is the publisher of those of you who are old a little bit, the PMP newspaper. There was a newspaper called the PMP. At that time, there was no social media. PMP was the social media. PMP was the Facebook of the day. Carl Vandepuye was ahead of his generation. He put up a newspaper called PMP that was selling better than the Daily Graphic. So I think now he stopped. He got into packaging, logistics, and he's a businessman that does many things. Now, he gave me this book. He's a Vandepuye himself, so I'm going to show you what his family does. Now, he came and said that, take this book, because I see that you like research. A long time ago. I didn't know that today the book was going to be so useful to me. I've read it back and forth and looked at the families, and it has been a source of inspiration. So when we continue to do this, it's because of people like Carl Vandepuye, because there are always the Carl Vandepuyes who will tell you that don't listen to what people are saying. Continue what you're doing. It's not about those who watch the program and they go on Facebook and you're a foolish boy. That's okay. You can do that. But if you do that, you are not adding, you are not subtracting, you are not learning. It's not going to affect us, because we'll always have the minority voices like Carl Vandepuye, who is a minority voice, a very loud voice. People see me and say, don't mind them. Continue to do what you're doing. I met a man in traffic who said, one day you said something and I doubted. So I asked my son to research it, and it was correct, because what you said sounded very wild. But my son said you were correct, and I like the way you do your research. Don't mind them. We'll stick to doing the truth. So those of you who come and text something and think that it will derail our efforts, no, far from that. It's not going to derail our efforts. There will always be the Carl Vandepuyes who will encourage us to continue to do what we do, and who don't come and say we are a foolish boy, but they give us a book to aid our research, and we'll take the book very seriously. Uncle Carl, thank you very much. You're a very, very good man, and God will bless you. And there are people who encourage us like that, and not just me, all of us who do this work. If you do the right thing and you speak the truth, irrespective of what they call bias, whatever that means, one day I'll have opportunities to deal with that as well. Irrespective of that, people will respect the work that you do. People will respect the research value that you bring to television, and they will add to the research by giving you books to read. And that's Carl Vandepuye. And tonight I pay tribute to him. I don't have his photograph because I just checked his WhatsApp. He doesn't do photographs. He doesn't put his photograph anywhere. If you know him, call him up and tell him that I'm talking about him on TV, that he's a very good man, that he gave me a book that tonight is going to liberate a lot of youth who have been concerned about Adom-Otchere forest, who is Owoo family, what do they do, why do they have so much land, all these corrupt governments, as they call them, quote and unquote, corrupt governments come and they are dealing with Owoo family. Is that the basis to judge a government for corruption? Then you're going to judge every government for corruption. And tribute to President Kufuor as well, who saw the document and said that, look, these guys deserve something. Why do you take their land for so long and you don't compensate them? You take their land in 1927. President Kufuor became president in 2000. Look at how many years. Now, the first piece of land was taken in 1921 for Adom-Otchere School. Today is 2022, 101 years later. From the first portion of land being compulsorily acquired from the Owoo family, 101 years later, the descendants of Owoo, the two brothers I'm going to talk about, have been able to acquire another 300 acres. For me, that's the moral of the story. What are you doing today so that 101 years later, your descendants will be able to benefit from something? The Bible says a good name is better than riches. Have you seen that today? That's why you go on Facebook and everybody says, my name is Owoo. Hey, I'm Paul Owoo. Hey, I'm Owoo. That's what the Bible meant by a good name is better than riches. So this is C. Anand Vandepuye and brothers. So that's J. Adom Vandepuye, Isaac Vandepuye, Joseph Mensah Vandepuye, and C. Anand Vandepuye. And it's called self-determination. This is C. A. Vandepuye, Anand Vandepuye. Let's see who they are. We have described under J. Adom Vandepuye the pedigree of the Vandepuyes. We have pictured J. Adom Vandepuye as a man with the stability of a conqueror. J. Mensah Vandepuye, we have mentioned this unfortunate brother under J. Adom Vandepuye. J. Mensah Vandepuye was the agriculturist brother who departed this life on the 16th of December 1926. Oh, that's unfortunate. He died so early in 1926. But let's move on and see what the rest did. Isaac Vandepuye, who was born in 1876, chose photography as a profession. His predilection for the brides caused him to change his vocation to commerce. At the brides, he worked for several mercantile firms, Messrs. Brunner Mercers, African Associates, Messrs. John Holt, and others. He eventually settled in, is it Chebi they want to write? Oh no, it's Krebi in the Cameroons, and amassed some wealth. But alas, for the Great War, The invasion of Cameroon by the powers impoverished him. That's unfortunate. Creepy House at Accra is a commemoration of the might have been. We sympathize with Isaac over his fate and over the death of his beloved wife. See Anand Vandepuye as a civil and mechanical engineer. We have partly pictured under J. Adom Vandepuye, but his interest career is deserving of more prominence. Okay, he was born on the 20th of June, 1881, with an aptitude for mechanics. He early took to the engineering art, and fortune led him on. One of fortune's favorites, a foreman in the public works department, took Anand in hand and brushed him up in carpentry and joinery. In this manner, he served his apprenticeship. That gave him the taste of the craft. With his education, Anand soon found that books could teach as much as a local foreman. He delved into books, and this gave him the skill to hold a position in the Gold Coast Government Railway. Anand migrated to Calabar in Nigeria, it was, but the call of home forced him to resume his post at Sekondi Railway in 1901 to 1906. In 1906, he at last settled in Accra and developed the Derby Works. And this establishment, you can repair the most delicate machine or buy the finest furniture. Through his good services, Anand Vandepuye was accepted as a railway contractor. He has competently discharged his duties and played a great part in the building of the Gold Coast Railway. Derby House is a model building and is cozily furnished. The grounds, which have recently been extended, are precious for any operation. A useful man needs a loyal helpmate. Our great engineer recently married Miss Elizabeth Nateye. The couple have the country's congratulations and bouquets. And this is a corner view of Derby House, the property and residence of C. Vandepuye. Is on page 189. That's the kind of homes they used to live in Accra. Beautiful home in the early 20th century, 1900-something, 1920-something. This is the kind of homes they used to live in Accra. Accra has been great before. We have a great history, and no one is going to take that history from us.